Dear students, today we will be discussing the second part of my previous lecture, that was vaccination. Today we will discuss its second part. It will have different sections to be covered. I am Professor Akmal Laik from the Pediatric Department at Akhtar Saeed Medical College. Thanks for joining. So we start. First, I have repeatedly said again, and for your remembering it, that we are at the present moment covering children against 10 diseases. These are to be remembered by all of you, like tuberculosis, polio, measles, diphtheria, pertussis or whooping cough, tetanus, hepatitis B, meningococcal meningitis and pneumonia, H. influenza, again causing pneumonia and meningitis mostly, and diarrhea by rotavirus. So these are the 10 diseases presently covered by EPI program. Now, what is the schedule? That is, at what time of the life the vaccine should be optimally given to the children. At birth, we give BCG and oral polio 0 dose. At 6 weeks, oral polio 1, penta 1, pneumo 1. Now, penta include 5 vaccines in one go. That is diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, hepatitis B, and HIB, Haemophilus influenza B. These are included in 5 vaccine of penta. At 10 weeks, we administer oral polio 2, penta 2, pneumo 2. At 14 weeks, we administer OPV 3, penta 3, pneumo 3, no rota, but injectable polio vaccine. Remember that, because many a time the patient mother complain कि हमारे बच्चे को उन्होंने 3 टीके लगाए, एक राइट पे, एक लेफ्ट पे और एक और राइट पे. So remember that these are to be vaccine to be given at 14 weeks. Immediately after the age of 9 months, we give measles 1, and when the child becomes 15 months of old, immediately after that he should receive measles, second dose of measles vaccine. So this is the currently followed EPI vaccination schedule in Pakistan. However, there are 2 more additions which are recommended by experts and implemented gradually, province-wise and then nationwide. One thing is the administration of hepatitis B at birth, and next is administering DPT at age of 4 to 6 years. Now this is a Urdu chart displayed at various vaccination centers. This is meant for the general public because they can very well understand the message given by it, that is 15 months before the child reaches the 15 months, he should visit the vaccination center, or the vaccinator will come to the child's home to protect them against 10 diseases, and this is all done during 6 visits. The schedule is already known to you, so that is just for the general public to know what time and what vaccine has been given in your child. How the vaccine were introduced in Pakistan? we said that the vaccines were there, but they were not being given to children worldwide, except in the developed world. So in 1974, there was a World Health Assembly which they decided that we should start an expanded program of immunization. It trickled down to all the member countries. In 1976, there was a pilot project against 6 basic antigens. They were the first one to be started, like BCG, measles, diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, and polio. These were the 6 diseases from where the start was made. Then government implemented thoroughly the 1978, and then 1981, the activities were intensified against the 6 diseases with 6 antigen to whole of Pakistan. In 1994, it was realized that polio is becoming a very important disease in our country. So, National Polio Immunization Days, we call them as NID or Polio Day and Polio Worker. It was celebrated for the first time, and now it has become a regular event many times a year. In 2002, the authorities started giving, including hepatitis B vaccine in the IPH schedule. Now we have 7. Then we have the pentavalent vaccine was introduced. This penta included HIV, hepatitis B, and the initial 3 antigens of diphtheria, polio, and diphtheria, pertussis, and tetanus. So now it became pentavalent. Initially it was trivalent. And then 2012, pneumococcal vaccine was introduced. It is PCV10. 2015, it was thought that an injectable polio during the 3rd visit by a child would be very beneficial in raising the level of immunity. So 2015, injectable polio, inactivated polio, killed polio vaccine was introduced, and 2017, rotavirus to combat the childhood diarrhea due to rotavirus was introduced. So that makes a total of 10 antigens and 10 diseases. So before starting a very massive program, ambitious program, there are targets and objectives which are set. The first target was that we should be able to vaccinate 100% of children against these 6 diseases, against these diseases which are I've already mentioned. So every child must be vaccinated, and he is eligible to receive these vaccination through an integrated program. The second target was we want to eradicate poliomyelitis, because the whole world has done it. Only 2 countries are left, which include Pakistan and Afghanistan. So still they are reporting cases of poliomyelitis which need to be covered. And the disease should be totally eradicated. There is not even a single case of polio should be reported from the whole of the world and from the whole of Pakistan for at least 3 years before you decide that this is now a polio-free country. Eradication means complete absence, complete from the community, from everywhere, throughout the country and throughout the region. We want to eliminate measles because there is just one vaccine, one virus, one serotype, and if children can be vaccinated properly with the 2 doses, the disease can be eliminated. We want to eradicate neonatal tetanus, because if we immunize mothers with tetanus toxoid during pregnancy, the neonatal tetanus would disappear. That is what has been done in most of the countries, including our neighboring country like India and so many others. They have eliminated neonatal tetanus by vaccinating all their mothers during pregnancy. And that is what our aim is. We want to maintain negligible level of cases of diphtheria by immunizing them against diphtheria with the 3 antigens. And now I said that in certain areas, government has also started administering a booster dose between 4 to 6 years to prevent attacks of diphtheria in these children. Similarly, pertussis is very big hazard. So, by giving 3 doses of pertussis vaccine, we want to minimize the number of cases of pertussis reporting from our community. It's an important and lethal condition in young infants. Similarly, by giving them BCG at birth, we want to reduce greatly the childhood TB incidence. We want to similarly reduce the incidence of hepatitis B in children by giving hepatitis B vaccination to all children as part of PENTA. And now they have started administering hepatitis B vaccine to babies at birth, because that's the only way to completely eliminate the maternal neonatal transmission of hepatitis B. Haemophilus influenza is a very important pathogen for children because it causes pneumonia and it causes meningitis. So we want to greatly reduce its incidence, H influenza, meningitis and pneumonia. So what is our target population? Naturally, it includes selected part of population. Number one, it includes all children up to the age of 15 months. They must be vaccinated up to 100%. Second, we want to vaccinate children who have not been vaccinated and they come to the vaccination center up to the age of 5 years. They need to be immunized. Third, every pregnant woman is a candidate for tetanus toxoid because that will protect greatly our young generation. It will prevent greatly the maternal neonatal transmission. Again, the tetanus toxoid, and all the women who are in the childbearing age between 15 to 49 years of age, if they have not been previously immunized against tetanus, they should be targeted by giving them tetanus toxoid. So these are the target groups of our population which are in need of vaccination and they should be protected. Now we take the vaccine one by one. Tuberculosis is protected by a vaccine called Bacillus calmette-guerin, BCG. They were the name of the two scientists who were pioneers in developing this vaccine. As far back as 1921. So, what they did was they cultured these tubercle bacilli repeatedly in the lab multiple time, and ultimately they reduced its ability to produce the disease. So then we got the live attenuated vaccine strains which were avirulent TB strain used for vaccination purposes. It is live attenuated and thus vaccine should be given soon after birth to all the babies. However, even children who are up to 5 years of age still can be vaccinated if not done previously. BCG is very important vaccine in a developing country like Pakistan, where it has been found that BCG protects up till 50% cases of pulmonary tuberculosis and more than 80% cases against invasive TB like miliary TB and like tuberculous meningitis. Hence, TB is a very important step in prevention of tuberculosis spread. The vaccine is given through a very fine needle, 28 gauge, intradermal injection on the deltoid area soon after birth, and we inject 0.1 ml in the skin. Now the immunity comes through delayed cell hypersensitivity with the help of T cell. So what we see that the immunity is not dependent on antibodies but on the presence of the hypersensitivity mediated by T cells. Being a live vaccine, it should not be given to immunocompromised children, like those children on steroids, those on leukemia, lymphoma, immunocompromised, and so many other conditions which we are facing in sick children. And similarly, should not be offered to pregnant women. It can cause disease itself. Normally it is benign, without any reaction, but sometimes it has complication, which we will discuss in a moment. You can see how the BCG is being given. Very fine needle on the deltoid area, maybe right or left. You administer intradermally, and intradermal injection is shown by the presence of a small area of the skin which become blanched. If you give it subcutaneously, this will never show. So remember, this is the identification that this child is getting, this baby is getting intradermal injection. We just inject 0.1 ml. And that is what happens. In the upper photographs, you see that after 3 weeks, patient gets a small nodule, a small papule, maybe a small swelling. It becomes a small vesicle, and then ultimately it may become a pustule and then a scar formation. A scar is frequently seen after around 6 to 8, after around 3 months. So the initial response is not seen immediately, but at least after some time, say at least 3 weeks, and then a scar is frequently seen after 3 months. There's a normal BCG reaction. However, some children are very unfortunate that they develop complications. Sometimes there is suppurative lymphadenitis, osteitis, cellulitis, and so many other conditions which are not seen in the normal condition. This is because of the tubercle bacilli multiplying at the local site, either at the skin or at the lymph node area, which might ulcerate, it might spread. The second important vaccine is diphtheria. Of course, you realize that diphtheria causes the presence of marked pharyngitis with a membrane formation visible through on the throat examination, end up with a neck swelling, with a laryngeal swelling, and ending up as respiratory failure and hoarseness of voice, complicated by myocarditis and neuropathies. So how do we protect against diphtheria? The vaccine is basically a killed vaccine in the form of toxoid and is usually combined with 3 other like diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus. Now this toxoid is given 0.5 ml intramuscularly and is administered to children, to a young infant at 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 14 weeks. Some countries follow the regime of 2, 4, 6, but in Pakistan it is 6, 10 and 14 weeks. And some countries are using it as a booster at 18 months and then at 4 to 6 years of life. However, the booster at 18 months is not yet included in DPI, but in some areas we are administering a booster at 4 to 6 years of age. The next disease to be mentioning is whooping cough, in which there is very violent paroxysms of coughing, very severe coughing, in which case the pertussis is a likely diagnosis in young children. Again, the vaccine is in the form of a toxoid. It is killed vaccine. It is combined vaccine with diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, administered at 3 doses at 6, 10 and 14 weeks, given intramuscularly, and nowadays it is now joined with 2 more antigen to make it as penta. Now nowadays we are administering Penta 1, Penta 2 and Penta 3. Now pertussis vaccine is very notorious that it causes untoward reaction, especially like fever, local pain, redness, and irritability, crying, and sometimes condition may progress to the level of encephalopathy, which means fits, convulsions, and drowsiness and features of encephalopathy. But this happens very rarely. The vaccine is very good regarding efficacy. More than 95% children, they are protected. Now, based on this observation of very important and severe reaction, now the pertussis vaccine is now divided. It's available in two different forms. One is a whole cell vaccine since a very long time. It's called WP. Now, scientists have ultimately brought the new change in it, that is acellular vaccine, which means the antigenic part of the bacillus has been now used for vaccination purposes, removing the rest of the cell part so that is not causing any untoward reaction. And this acellular vaccine is quite safe and free of the side effect that I have already mentioned. It causes minimal reaction. Encephalopathy is almost not seen with this type of vaccine. So, preferably, EPA program uses whole cell vaccine in young infants, and all over the West and developed world, now they are using acellular vaccines. And if the child gets severe reaction after DPT, it is always advisable to use acellular vaccine if there is a history of severe reaction. Now, this vaccine should be given as a booster at 18 to 18 months, but it is not done at EPA program, and then at 4 to 6 years for its enhanced and prolonged efficacy. Coming to the third important disease, and that is tetanus. We all understand that tetanus in newborn baby present with the baby having a cord cut through dirty scissors, something unhygienic applied to the cord, and patient get tetanus. The patient frequently is unable to open his mouth, develops tonic spasms, unable to take a feed, rhizus sardonicus, opisthotonus, and tonic spasm are the typical features of tetanus in neonates and children. Now, this is also included in DPT as part of Penta 1, Penta 2, Penta 3 to be given at 0.5 ml dose intramuscularly at 6, 10 and 14 weeks. Tetanus is also available separately as a tetanus toxoid when given to children who received an injury on the roadside and a dirty contaminated wound. Please remember that even a patient has developed tetanus disease, he still is not immune. Very unique phenomena, but this is a fact that we must give tetanus toxoid to all patients of tetanus when they have recovered. Going home, they must receive tetanus toxoid for a course for lifelong immunity. Similarly, tetanus toxoid is offered to all pregnant women in the last trimester, usually for the first pregnancy in the form of 2 doses, at least 1 month apart. However, I will just show you in a moment that women in the childbearing age should receive total of 5 doses to make them lifelong immune. After giving the primary vaccination at 6, 10 and 14 weeks, we give and administer a booster at 18 months but not included in EPI, and nowadays we are advocating the use of another booster at 4 to 6 years of age and then every 10 years for lifelong immunity. It causes minimal side effect like local pain and tenderness at the site of injection. Poliomyelitis, only 2 drops of polio can prevent a lifelong physical disability. It is a lifelong handicap which never goes away. So there is a message to be given to all of you and to the whole public. We have learned that polio is available. Polio vaccine is in two different types, Salk vaccine and Sabin vaccine. Salk vaccine is killed vaccine. We give it 0.5 ml intramuscularly as a monovalent, and sometime it is included in the vaccine called hexavalent. We have a pentavalent in EPI, and in a private sector we have a hexavalent vaccine in which polio is also added. Injectable polio is also added. Sabin vaccine is an oral vaccine available in the droplet form. Two drops are adequate at one go and is to be given during EPI routine visits. 0 dose at birth, and then 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 14 weeks for primary vaccination. Remember that polio vaccine is very, very heat labile. It has to be stored in vials inside the freezer of a container. Otherwise, it will become immediately destroyed within half an hour to 1 hour. For injectable polio, the benefits are that it, given intramuscularly, it causes less gut immunity and less chance for the herd immunity. However, there is minimal risk of vaccine-derived polio because it is killed vaccine. Compared to the oral polio vaccine given orally, it multiplies in the gut of children and produces a lot of gut immunity, humoral immunity, and then is passed out in the feces as a herd immunity. And there is a very, very minimal risk of getting poliomyelitis after vaccination. Something like 1 case of polio follows after 3 to 4 million doses of polio vaccination. So almost negligible risk. However, we do not administer polio drops to immunocompromised children or to the contacts at home or to the pregnant mother. As you all know that polio had 3 strains, 1, 2 and 3. Gradually it has been found out that through continuous vaccination campaign, polio 2 has been completely eradicated for many, many years now. Now the next to go is polio 3. It has not been reported from the world for so many years. But however, the type 1 polio vaccine is prevalent in our country and is a cause of polio disease in our country. So most of the polio vaccine campaign, they are including for type 1 polio vaccine for mass immunization. Hepatitis B is very important. Children are infected through their mother. Mother has hepatitis, and at the time of delivery, birth, the baby is infected. So first thing is that all mothers should have hepatitis B checked during pregnancy, because the baby is infected, baby becomes a carrier, and ultimately it becomes a clinical jaundice, but it ultimately ends as a hepatocellular carcinoma or cirrhosis of liver after many, many, many decades. So hepatitis B in children is very important and requires vaccination. Of course, understand that hepatitis B prevents against liver cell cancer. It is genetically engineered. It's not live. For the vertical transmission from the mother to baby and from the horizontal transmission between patient to the next in contact, it frequently spreads through the blood and the blood products. So either you use it as pentavalent vaccine as part of the pentavalent vaccine, or sometimes we use it as monovalent vaccine. So it should be given as a birth dose, which we are now gradually implementing. And then we have a 6-week, 10-week and 14-week doses. Its efficacy is more than 95%, and there are no known side effects. The vaccine is quite safe in pregnancy and in immunocompromised children because it is genetically derived and not live. Meningitis is very important because it causes septicemia, neck stiffness, severe headache, vomiting, fits, you can see multiple clinical features of Haemophilus influenza B vaccination: child having neck stiffness, positive Kernig and Brudzinski sign, severe headache, fever, a septicemia rash. All of them are features of HIV disease. It causes pneumonia. It causes meningitis and septicemia. So this vaccine is also part of Penta. It is a killed vaccine, and we usually administer 0.5 ml vaccine in combination with other 4. So total makes 5 in one go. It is given at 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 14 weeks, and should have a booster at 18 months, but is still not included by EPA program. Now, HIV vaccine is safe in immunocompromised children and during pregnancy, and share the same side effects which are very mild. Pneumonia vaccine is now again included in EPI, and you all understand that pneumonia is very important disease for young children. Patient may have cough and fever. He develops signs of breathing difficulty, recessions, tachypnea, and ultimately may end up as respiratory failure and require hospitalization. This chest X-ray is typical for pneumonia in children. So the pneumococcal conjugate vaccine has been now added. There are in fact 2 vaccines available. One is called PCV 10 valent, in which the vaccine is effective against 10 common strains of pneumococcal bacteria causing pneumonia. And we have got another vaccine which is called PCV 13, which is effective against 13 strains of pneumococcal antigens. But again, EPI uses PCV 10 valent vaccine, again very effective. These are killed vaccine to be administered as 6, 10 and 14 weeks, and giving a booster at 15 months is still not part of EPI. EPI program only gave 3 doses within the first 3 months. This is to be given simultaneously on the same visit to young infants, infants coming for vaccination. We inject Penta on one thigh and we inject pneumococcal vaccine on the other side. 0.5 ml intramuscularly, highly efficacious, more than 95%, and is safe in children who are immunocompromised or during pregnancy. Rotavirus vaccine, again important. You understand that something like 30 to 40% of childhood diarrhea is caused by rotavirus. So we have very effective vaccine against rotavirus. It prevents diarrhea, dehydration, and maybe a fatal outcome in a number of cases. So this vaccine is live attenuated. Single strain is used. 2 doses are given orally at 6 weeks and at 10 weeks in a pre-filled syringe for every child, 3 ml. Now, the upper age limit is 6 months. That is, before 6 months of age, child should have received 2 doses of rotavirus vaccine, 1 month apart, and exceptionally, we still sometimes go till 8 months, but very rarely. Now, this is contraindicated in immunocompromised states. It is effective. Efficacy has been ranged around 85 to 95%. The vaccine, like others, is stored at 2 to 8 degrees centigrade, and it causes minimal side effects. Of course, the last vaccine is measles in children. Measles is very notorious. It causes severe illness in children, high-grade fever, macular rash, but the main thing are the complications, like eye complication, like chest complication, like gut complication, like ear complication, and in the late stages maybe CNS complication. So measles is very important as a part of morbidity for young infant, as a vaccine preventable disease. Just one measles vaccine, just one strain and one vaccine. It is live attenuated vaccine. We give it at 0.5 ml subcutaneously. Measles vaccine 1 is given at 9 months and measles vaccine 2 at 12 to 15 months, and is very effective 95% seroconversion takes place. However, in situation in which there is epidemic of measles, it happens in our own country after some years. In that case, if there is epidemic, then measles vaccine should be given to all children between the ages of 6 months to 10 years, because that will raise the level of immunity and prevent its spread. So many countries are now using MMR vaccine, which contain 3 antigen measles, mumps and rubella at 15 months and 4 years, but that is not part of EPI in Pakistan. We are administering measles vaccine 1 and 2 at 9 months and 15 months. It is contraindicated, being a live vaccine, it is contraindicated in immunocompromised patient during pregnancy and the patient has shown allergic reactions. Otherwise, it is very safe. Now, this is the schedule for pregnant women during their childbearing age. I have said that the pregnant mother also candidate for EPI vaccine, and that is tetanus toxoid. Tetanus toxoid first dose is given during the first pregnancy. Tetanus toxoid 2 given 1 month after the first dose. Tetanus toxoid 3 given 6 months after the second dose. Tetanus toxoid 4 given 1 year after the third dose. And tetanus toxoid 5 given 1 year after the fourth dose. So in total, 5 doses given to a pregnant mother are adequate to have a sufficient level of immunity throughout her childbearing age. Beyond that, she doesn't need it. Now, are we having a good vaccine coverage in Pakistan or not? We said that if we have a target of more than 80%, there is sufficient herd immunity and the mass level spread of disease doesn't take place. Now, this is the coverage from the UNICEF figures taken in 2019. This says that as a part of coverage, when the surveillance data shows that BCG had been administered to 88% children, DPT-1 86%, DPT-3 75%, IPV 75%, measles 1 75%, measles 2 71%, pneumococcal vaccine 75%, polio vaccine 3 75%, and rota something like 75%. However, I must tell you that this is a nationwide figure. This includes all provinces, include farthest areas of Balochistan and Gilgit-Baltistan and so many areas which are also included. So there has been marked differences in the vaccine coverage in the different provinces and in the different regions. Provinces mean like Balochistan, far-off areas, compare them to the Islamabad. Regional, which mean compared to the Punjab in the South Punjab, close to Balochistan areas, and in the center of Punjab. So these are national figures, but again, they are not applicable to the whole of Pakistan at all areas, with so many differences. Now let me say in the last slide, there are many common problems that we see in vaccinations. First, the mother come and say, are these safe? माँ आपसे सवाल करती कि डॉक्टर साहब ये सवाल आपके ज़हन में शायद ये सवाल आता हो, are these vaccines safe? Can they produce a disease? Can they harm the baby? Can they have side effect? Almost all vaccines which are used in EPI program, yes, they are definitely safe vaccine. The safety has been established through large-scale trials all over the world, in Pakistan. So these vaccines are all safe for all children. So don't have any doubt about them, the safety. Number 2, if the child has missed 1 shot or 2 shots, he has received 1 or 2 shots already. So what should we do now? Should we restart from the zero? No. We do not need to restart from the zeros vaccine now. we think that the vaccine that has been given is already effective. So let's start from where the vaccine was interrupted. Don't restart again and again. Number 3, many mother ask कि बेबी को हल्का सा बुखार है, बेबी को हल्का 2-3 पॉटियाँ की हैं, बेबी को हल्का सा नज़ला है, नाक बंद है या रो रहा है, should we vaccinate? Yes, these are very minor symptoms and the vaccine should not be delayed. However, if the baby is having high grade fever, severe diarrhea, in that case we may delay it because we do not know that patient might be having a serious disease at this moment. So for mild to moderate illness, vaccine should not be delayed. But if the patient is really sick, then it can be deferred for a couple of days, but then vaccine should be given. The fourth question that mothers and parents ask is, हमारा baby बहुत छोटा है, which means he is low birth weight, he is premature, he is very young, he is marasmic, malnourished. So we should not vaccinate him. No, this child who is weak, small, malnourished, marasmic has more chance to become very sick if we get that disease. So we should not postpone them. Most babies who are around 1.5 kg, more than that, who are more than 34 weeks, they can be given the vaccination in time at the normal schedule. Marasmus, malnutrition is not a contraindication for vaccination. So please, we have to change the mother's perception and advocate timely vaccination at the proper time. Thank you very much. I have tried to give all of you so many important points in the vaccination. The topic was lengthy. I covered in 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. I hope you must have been educated. If you have any questions, you can always ask me, and thank you very much.